So, ladies and gentlemen, a welcome. My name is Star Hardison. I'm with the DoD CIO, and I'm going to be your master of ceremonies today. Couldn't have done that any better if I tried. So, welcome to the inaugural Department of Defense Cyber Workforce Summit. The rapidly evolving landscape of cyber and national security threats possess significant challenges to our national defense. It is vital that we have an agile, capable, and ready DoD cyber workforce positioned to ensure the integrity of our defense digital systems and infrastructure. This two-day event is an opportunity for DoD CIO representatives, service level leadership, academia, industry leaders to share their experience and expertise on advancing innovation and the development of the DoD cyber workforce. We have an exciting agenda for you. I'm really excited about it. And there's going to be plenty of time for you to network and meet with your fellow cyber community members. I also want you to remember to try to amplify the effect of this event. So throughout the day, we encourage you to post your highlights on social media using the hashtag CWS for Cyber Workforce Summit. Your posts will help spread the word and to connect us all. Before we begin today's program, I want to extend a warm welcome to the leader at the helm of this institution hosting us today. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the president of the National Defense University, Vice Admiral Peter Garvin.
Well, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate that. My name is Vice Admiral Pete Garvin, and I do have the honor and pleasure of serving as your National Defense University president since October. So just a fantastic welcome to you all. And I'm not new to the place, although new in this role. Graduated from here 20 years ago. It seems like yesterday. Yes, go Warriors. They're probably going to clip that out and put it on their website now. But again, my sincere thanks to you all. And this gathering does represent a critical moment in our ongoing efforts to strengthen and evolve our cyber workforce. A workforce that is absolutely essential to ensure that America is safer, stronger, and more prosperous going into the future. And before I introduce our first speaker, I would like to take a moment to extend a special thank you to Ms. Katie Arrington. Ma'am, thank you for being here, performing the duties of the Department of Defense Chief Information Officer, but most importantly, we deeply appreciate the strong partnership of you and your team, both in hosting this event and all the things that we do together. So thank you. We're thrilled to have you with us. I would also like to recognize some other distinguished guests whose leadership and vision in the cyber domain are truly remarkable. Several of them are here today, and several of them will be here tomorrow. Mr. Alexei Bulazel, great to see you, sir, Special Assistant to the President on Cybersecurity at the White House. General Timothy Haw, Commander, United States Cyber Command, he'll be here after lunch. Lieutenant General David Isaacson from the Joint Staff J6, he'll be here tomorrow. Lieutenant General Paul Stanton, it's great to see you, sir, from the Defense Information Systems Agency, thank you. And Ms. Ashley Manning, Assistant Secretary of Defense for Cyber Policy. Where'd you end up, Ashley? There you go. And all of our service CIOs, including Leo Garcia from the Department of the Army, Jane Rathbun from the Department of the Navy, and Dennis Goodwine from the Department of the Air Force. And their panel, scheduled for tomorrow morning, will be moderated by Mark Gorak, the Principal Director for Resources and Analysis at DoD CIO. Great to see you. So thank you for your time and for your enduring dedication to advancing the cyber workforce. To all of you in attendance this morning, from the Department of Defense, the various services, the agencies, as well as our industry partners and our lead sponsor, AFCEA. I think I saw the president over there. Great to see you. Thank you for your support and for your attendance here with us. We are nearly 600 strong in total over the course of the 2 days, with participants from across the country. And your engagement demonstrates your shared commitment to our purpose together. As we gather here, we are reminded of the critical importance of a strong and agile cyber workforce in today's rapidly evolving, and I would say rather dynamic, security environment. The urgency of our mission cannot be overstated. A skilled and resilient cyber workforce is not just a necessity. It is a strategic imperative for the national security of the United States. We must grow, we must nurture, and challenge our cyber workforce to maintain that competitive edge. This event plays a crucial role in supporting DoD cyber workforce initiatives and promoting engagement with key decision makers and stakeholders. In so doing, we are also providing NDU students and faculty with direct access to the latest cyber workforce initiatives and insights from thought leaders across the Department of Defense, the Cyber Academic Engagement Office, and our service and DoD CIOs. So here at NDU, we are deeply committed to developing the leaders of tomorrow, leaders who will shape the future of cyber warfare. Through all of our colleges, and especially the College of Information and Cyberspace, NDU is equipping these future leaders with the tools, the knowledge, and the mindset required to address the evolving challenges of and in the cyber domain. This symposium also provides a unique opportunity to expand NDU's engagement with cyber industry leaders. These relationships are invaluable, not only in advancing our understanding of emerging threats, but technologies, as well as building the long-term partnerships so that we can together innovate and meet those challenges head on. And finally, I want to thank the individuals and teams who worked tirelessly to organize this summit. Your efforts have made this event possible, and we are grateful for your dedication in bringing together such a distinguished group of experts. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our first distinguished guest, we have many, and our first speaker of the day, Mr. Alexei Bulazel. Mr. Bulazel serves as the Special Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Cyber on the White House National Security Council. In this role, he is instrumental in shaping our nation's cybersecurity strategy and ensuring the U.S. remains resilient against ever-evolving cyber threats. Prior to his role at the White House, Alexei held key positions, including a director on the National Security Council staff, where he developed cyber policy and led security engineering teams at both Apple and Oracle. He is a recognized thought leader in the fields of national security, technology, and AI. His expertise has taken him to numerous high-profile platforms where he has presented on a range of topics from military and intelligence operations to government regulation and to critical infrastructure protection. His work has also extended into the academic and technical communities with contributions to renowned conferences such as Black Hat, DEF CON, and USENIX. Alexei is an alumnus of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, having earned his undergraduate and graduate degrees there. And he's also served as a hacker in residence at the New York University Tandon School of Engineering. So please join me with a warm welcome for Mr. Alexei Bulazel.
Thank you for that welcome, Admiral. It's great to be here to address this community, and an honor to serve at the White House in charge of cybersecurity for the National Security Council. So I'll just make a few brief remarks and then hand it over to Katie Arrington, DoD CIO, and pleased to be joining you at this forum. Looking to future needs to cultivate and retain key cyber talent, we see major changes to what the national security enterprise will need and how we will meet those needs. Cyber is at its most fundamental a contested, interconnected domain. This means that conflict and the contest of intelligence must be the essential core of our focus. We must understand what interactions look like in this domain and in its terms. Cyber analogies, cyber Pearl Harbor, cyber time bombs, calling mis- and disinformation a cyber attack, and so on, often fall short. But these analogies are often used to communicate to policymakers, and even by policymakers themselves. We can and must do better. Giants like Kahn and Schelling gave us a new vocabulary for conflict during the Cold War. Why now? 3, arguably even 5 decades into cyber conflict, do our leaders still think about cyber war and frameworks developed for nuclear deterrence? A form of conflict, perhaps as far as possible from the persistent, constant butting of heads and contestation of gray space that we see in cyber conflict. We need our workforce to understand not just technical language and code, but the complex operational and strategic theory. To be able to navigate not just the tactical, operational, strategic, but also the technical and grand strategic levels of conflict. We need to be able to communicate these concepts quickly and clearly to senior leaders. And we need talent that understands the chutes and ladders game of shimmering, constantly changing attack surfaces. These rising stakes also mean that individual contributors at every level of our system, that their impact is magnified in ways that we might not be used to from our experiences in other domains. As a result, we must be able to empower talent, civilian, military, or otherwise, at much earlier points in their career than we may in other fields. We have to acknowledge that not all cyber leadership means literally managing large organizations. It may mean leading complex technical projects with technical expertise, the so-called staff engineer model used in Silicon Valley. Building and operating secure software, systems, and networks and services will remain essential. This will require smart acquisitions and a deep understanding of the ever-changing technology and commercial ecosystems. It will require skilled administrators and smart defenders who can maneuver quickly in the face of new threats. This will demand a far more dynamic way of doing business, far different than the old ideas of compliance checklists. We're working with the most complex engineering systems ever designed by mankind. And far more complexity is soon to come as we increasingly adopt AI co-pilots in developing software. We need to accept that the baseline deep understanding of our own architectures is often the first step in careers that may take people into different paths. Understanding that some may seek to join the private sector to bring their skills to a larger market that has clearly indicated a strong demand signal. At the same time, we must have a very clear view of those markets. There's a lot of distortion around the number of vacant billets and open cyber jobs, demand from the private and public sector, that are frequently quoted from podiums like this and forums like these. This occurs in part because of the widespread practice among tech firms of posting ghost vacancies that do not reflect actual recruiting needs, but exist to convey the perception of growth and success to investors and to competitors. It also exists because of distortions created by temporary visa workforce policies, which this administration has committed to ending abuses of that lead to lower wages and erode American jobs. While at the same time, we will seek to ensure that the best among global talent can be brought into the U.S. to add to our workforce. We know that we have a unique national security mission, however, and it will require the best Americans to be willing to serve. These patriots will be asked to do hard things. We need creative and rigorous minds that can think across multiple levels of problems simultaneously. And we need these minds to be deeply rooted in a mastery of our history, but that they can surf the edge of the ever-changing future. We also need to carefully grow our cadre of apex predators. We need aggressive, smart, careful operators who can execute offensive missions across conventional military and other authorities, clandestine, covert, irregular, or otherwise. This administration has signaled clearly that we'll use all instruments of national power, including offensive cyber operations, to defend American interests and to ensure the stability and security of global cyberspace for our country, our allies, and our partners. We recognize that America does not have a monopoly on offensive talent, and that our early advantage and long-standing lead in this area has relied on a small number of truly elite experts. We need more of these folks, and many more that can work alongside them as our op-tempo scales and our nation calls upon their services to execute on new missions in new ways. These apex predators need to be able to be supported by experienced planners and a robust defense industrial base that can provide a deep arsenal of innovative capabilities. We need to be able to sustain these arsenals when the fight inevitably comes, because we know that these capabilities are more transitory than in other domains, and opportunities to regenerate options against targets, be they enduring, indigenous, widely proliferated, or otherwise, are sometimes more fleeting than we would like. But our strength is not merely that we create the most elite offensive operators. We uniquely employ these folks in deliberately considered ways consistent with responsible state practices. Responsible operations do not merely reflect our values, but they set and reinforce tacit norms, not because we've written empty words on some ignored think tank paper, but because we prove them every day through our actions, that we are committed to the proper exercise of power under the oversight of democratically elected government. And in this, we have our final and most important ask for the workforce at every level and every stage in their career, from the newest hire to the experienced senior, from the newly enlisted to the 4 stars. We need each and every one of you to strive to meet our best standards of professional achievement, of expertise, and of ethics. This is a no-fail mission in a national security organization that carries the solemn responsibilities of many other no-fail missions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for being here. The fact that we have that valuable perspective from the National Security Council is quite a bonus for us today, so thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver today's opening remarks, we are honored to have Ms. Catherine Arrington with us today. Ms. Arrington is performing the duties of the Department of Defense Chief Information Officer. She's a leading expert in cybersecurity and information technology and has extensive experience in both the public and private sectors. Previously, as the first DoD CISO for the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition Sustainment, she spearheaded efforts to enhance cybersecurity within the defense industrial base. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Catherine Arrington.
Alexei, what'd you do here, my brother? So who here's seen me speak before? Raise your hand. Okay, let's start the wave over there. You guys start. Give me a little wave. All the way around. Wake up. All right. Now I got y'all awake? All right. So I look at NDU first and foremost. I am honored to be here. I am shaking in my shoes because the opportunity to speak to such a prestigious audience is amazing to me. And you guys are going to hear in the next couple of days, you're going to hear from my brother from another mother, General Stanton, who I think, by the way, he's tall like me. So, hey, bro, I'll leave the podium down for you. You're going to hear from Miss Ashley Manning, a phenomenal individual, far more poised than I will ever be in this lifetime. You heard from Alex, who I think of as not just a work partner. They're friends, they're family. This is a family, folks. We gotta realize that there are so few of us that we need to band together. So you're gonna hear from several. You'll hear from my CIO from the department tomorrow, Venice, Leo, and Jane. They're amazing. Mark, you're moderating that. It's gonna be amazing. And then you're gonna hear from General Hawk, who is amazing. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody, but I'm not one of those people who does well at a podium. So you're going to have a little moment, and I'm going to give everybody a moment of pause. Can you hear me? Yes. Democracy is a beautiful thing. It's worth fighting for. You know who my special forces are in this? It's not the Green Berets. It's not the SEAL. Not to say that they don't have a place, but it is you. People don't understand. They have become complacent about cybersecurity and what it means to us as a nation. Is our adversary going to turn the power off before they launch a kinetic attack? Yes. Where have we seen this time and time again? When are we going to learn? This is the time, folks. This is your moment to lean in, to take risks. I say to my, my children and my grandchildren, yes, I have more. Botox is really amazing. This is your time to come out of your shell. And I know working in the government isn't always the easiest. And no, we're not in it to get paid and get rich. Not at all. It's about the mission. And the mission is what? What? Hell yeah. We have to do that. We have to start thinking like they do. I have this thing that I talk about all the time, and poor Alex is here and heard me, and Ashley has heard it, and Paul, gosh bless. I've known Paul since, he was 4 feet 5. Just, you cannot do it.
You still like jokes.
Our adversaries know our architecture. Our adversaries know how we do business. Why? Because we're a fully transparent government. So we're fighting a war right now, one-handed. My job in the role that I'm in is to give you both your hands because you need them. Policies are in place, and yes, we need to modify some. We need more offensive capability. And let's think about this. You are one of an elite few. 7,000 people are in the cyber expected workforce. China alone has 50,000. That means you have to be better than best. You have to be great. You have to be passionate. You have to want to get it done. And it's up to you to foster that in the generations to follow. I live by an example that you should never stay in a position longer than 5 years. Why? First year, you figure out what the job is. And I'm 3 weeks in, and I'm getting my feet together. The first year, you figure out what the job is. The second year, you figure out what needs to change. Third year, you start implementing those changes. Fourth year, you start looking for somebody to take your seat because you have bigger and better ideas and you need to continue to evolve and grow. And in this environment, that's critical. Our education is key. And Americans, I say this, and I might get in trouble later today, who knows, because I'm speaking as Katie does. Right now, we try to bolt security on instead of baking it in. Who understands acquisition in the room? Raise your hand. Okay. So there was an original study done by MITRE called Delivered Uncompromised. Did anybody ever read it? Okay. If you read it, it says that acquisition is based on 4 pillars: cost, schedule, performance, and security. And I argue that's completely wrong. Because if you don't build security at the base, does it matter what the cost is if the adversary is able to produce it at a lower rate and a lower cost? No. Does it matter if you're going to meet your schedule if the adversary, your competitor, gets it and they beat you to market by a day? And the performance. Let's think about the F-35. Beautiful weapon system. But 6 months after she took off, China took off a plane, oddly enough, had the exact same canopy flaw as our design of the F-35. You think that was just by chance? Absolutely not. We work as a unified body. We don't fight a war alone. We fight it with the DIB. And then we fight it with another entity that is new to the game. That when the Constitution was written, we didn't have. It's something called critical infrastructure. Anybody know about it? We have to understand that the critical infrastructure is as important as a weapon. It is a weapon system. Turning power on and off, the availability to communicate, the flow of water. These are all part of what you guys have to take into consideration in what you're doing. A weapon system doesn't function without fuel. A weapon system in a base doesn't function without power. We have to embrace that this is the new paradigm. And I would just ask you all, as you go through your days, never think that you're not the most important person. I pray in my life every single day. I'm never the smartest person in any room, and in this room, I know I'm not. There are far more intelligent, articulate, more polished, much more well-educated, lots more stars, passion that goes on for days, educators, the community. And if we don't realize how valuable we are to each other, then we're going to be nowhere. There's no one in this room more or less important to this nation. There's no one in this room who's more or less important to security and democracy. And that is what we're about, isn't it? Defending the rights to be able to say what we want to say and to live the way we want to live. And remember, that's why you got in this. You didn't get into it to make money. You didn't get into this to, get your name on a screen. You got into this because you believed in the mission. And in God's innate capability, He gave you something special and unique that not everybody gets. Understanding binary is not something most people will understand. And understand how a chain reaction really is important. And that the ripple effect is really critical. You think, turning the power off in one part of the country. When Verizon went down, what was that, last year in the fall timeframe? Our adversaries here already, folks. Banning the headline, Verizon, the notice from the FAA. Every day we hear a new breach. We hear a new way the adversary is coming at us. And we have almost become complacent to it. It's an annoyance now. Not a realistic idea, understanding that that is an attack on our democracy. The adversary has gone and they begin a non-kinetic event. They are working their way through the supply chain. They are working their way through causing problems and disruption in our cyber environments. And it is you, the first line of defense, my cyber special forces, that are going to protect this nation going forward. So the next couple of days, education is important. It's everything. Knowledge is power. Communication through this community is power. What you bring every day for warfighting, power. So I am so honored and pleased. Thank you to my team for putting this event together. Thank you, Dean. And this being in this place, I really would love to go to war college one day when I grow up. Because I would really mess things up. I would play war games. My best war game I ever did. I got anybody up in the room. Anybody know Arliss? It's up in Maryland. I had everybody come in the room for the war game. Everybody was sitting at their tables and ready to go. And I went outside and I had the power company there with me to turn the power off. And everybody came out of the building, man, we can't do the war game. I'm like, ding, 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 ding. That's the war game, kids. This is the paradigm you're working. And then, like I said, you have a president right now who believes in you. He really does. And he knows that this war that we're going to be fighting, is going to have you at the helm, in the lead. So I leave you with this today. I'm honored to be in the position that I'm in. I am your voice. I am the person that is trying to fight the fight for you up in the department to make sure that you get what you need, the resources, the education, the training, the access to new technology. And what I would say to you, my parting words is, you right now have a time that I don't know that we'll ever get in our lifetime. Is the art of the possible. If a regulation or a policy is impeding you doing your job, say something. This is an opportunity to change. Miss Manning is brilliant at policy. If you tell her there is a challenge with it, she will work to fix it. But you need to communicate upward what the challenges are. Because otherwise the status quo will remain. And that is something that to me is sinful, right? If you don't, we have these things all over airports. If you see something, say something. If there's a policy, a requirement, something that's impeding you, let's figure out how to get it out of the way to help you do your job, which is to defend the greatest country this planet has ever known. In the entire world, we are the light on the hill. We are the beacon of hope. For most of the world, they look at these people in this room, you're so exceptional and so blessed Remember that. This is the most amazing country that has ever been. She is a wonderful experiment in democracy, but she only is successful. All of you are leaning in every day. And you take what our founding fathers took into their hearts and minds, their family. They internalized risk and understood that it's going to be a part of it. It is risky. And saying the truth is hard sometimes, especially in our environment. You need to, because I need you guys at this point in time to make the significant changes. Because how many of you here think you're going to be here forever? There's an expiration date on everybody's quote. And I live in this environment, and I don't know who I'm stealing the quote from, because I'm not that smart. But somebody said the day you're born and the day you die, there's a dash. And I live every day to ensure that that dash did something so that my children's children's children have a chance at living in the most amazing country and having the freedoms that we have today. And that's what you're about, folks. The next couple of days is about education and how do we do better. But I will tell you the reason why you're doing it. Remember why you're doing it. Not for the paycheck. It's not for the benefit. It's not for the 1 week of vacation you get a year. It's all that superfluous. Because we all go at some point in time. And I pray that each of you have something in your life that on your deathbed, when you get to the big guys, you can say, I made it. And I made it better. And with that, I hope you all enjoy yourselves the next couple of days. I have to go back to the box. They're probably going to yell at me when I get there, but I really don't care. And I thank you all so much for being here, for being passionate, being the first line of defense for this country. May God bless you and watch over you. And please make way for my favorite person in the world. I lowered the mic for you, Big Daddy. Thanks for all.